after criticizing prolonged junta rule. Trump's lawyers insist hush money case be dismissed. Deadly storm hits Washington, cuts power supply. Man arrested in New York Stock Exchange bomb plot. Lai denies asking U.S. to act against Hong Kong. Australia launches bill to ban social media for minors. Israeli strikes kill scores in Gaza. These and more stories to come your way in a moment. Remember, we're open for advance placements, news and events coverage, personality, society and political interviews, products, service promotion and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok at Atlantic TV Network, or on Twitter at Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Happening in total secrecy without the Prime Minister's knowledge, Mega told reporters on Saturday. 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly, his comments sparked tensions with the junta, forcing it to postpone a ministerial council meeting planned for Wednesday. A source close to Mega told newsmen. Mega had fervently defended Mali's junta as West African neighbors and international allies, criticized with Russian mercenaries and repeated election delays. Onda served as Mali's Commerce Minister under former President Amadou Toumani Touré and as Digital Economy Minister under former President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. Mega was also the leader of the M5 RFP opposition coalition that spearheaded protests against Keïta before his overthrow. Australia's Resolute Mining said on Thursday that its CEO Terence Holohan and two other employees who were detained by the Mali government earlier at capital Bamako to hold discussions with mining and tax authorities regarding general activities related to the company's business practices, it said earlier this month. The miner had also agreed to pay $160 million to the Mali government earlier this week to help resolve the tax dispute. Resolute said Holohan and the other two employees were released from the economic and financial center of Bamako. And all three employees are safe and well and have departed the limits and allow him to run again. Tshisekedi said the current constitution ratified a referendum in 2005 needed to change because it did not align with the country's current realities. In a joint statement on Wednesday, opposition politicians including former President Joseph Kabila and former presidential candidates Martin Fayulu and Moise Katumbi called for protests to block Tshisekedi. Congo's presidency did not respond to a request for comment. Investigating sex trafficking allegations. Gates, joined by Vice President-elect J.D. Vance, met with Republican lawmakers on Wednesday. Senator Mike Lee said the allegations of Gates having had sex with a 17-year-old would be troubling if proven true, but noted the Justice Department did not charge Gates despite a lengthy investigation. Republicans' conviction for illegally covering up hush money payments to a porn star should be dismissed because he won the U.S. presidential election and sentence will threaten government stability. In a letter filed on Tuesday and made public on Wednesday, the Republican president-elect's lawyers asked New York State Supreme Court Justice Juan Merchan for permission to file a formal motion laying out their arguments by December 20. Just as a sitting president is immune from any criminal process, so too is President Trump as president-elect. The lawyer wrote, Trump, 78 years old, had been scheduled to be sentenced on November 26, but Merchan last week put all proceedings in the case on pause at the request of Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office. Bragg's office has said it will oppose Trump's bid to dismiss the case and suggested it should be paused until Trump completes his 4-year presidential term, beginning on January 20, though it stopped short of explicitly endorsing that option. Trump president from 2017 to 2021 is hoping to enter office for a second term unencumbered by any of the 4 criminal cases he has faced, and which some opponents had predicted would derail his 2024 candidacy to return to the White House. The Republican Trump was convicted in May of falsifying business records to cover up a $130,000 payment his former lawyer Michael Cohen made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels for her silence before the 2016 election about a sexual encounter she says she had with Trump, who denies it. It was the first time a U.S. president, former or sitting, had been convicted of a charge with a criminal offense. Trump pleaded not guilty in the case, which has long portrayed as a politically motivated attempt by Bragg, a Democrat, to interfere with his campaign. In the letter on Tuesday, Trump's lawyer said continuing the case after his election victory would be uniquely destabilizing and threaten to hamstring the operation of the whole governmental apparatus. Powerful storm clobbered Washington state on Wednesday, knocking out power to hundreds of thousands of people while disrupting road travel and causing at least 2 deaths and 2 injuries. Winds should die down across the region by midday, but the storm has moved to California and is set to bring extreme rainfall by the end of the week, according to forecasters. A woman was killed on Tuesday when a tree fell on a homeless encampment in Linwood. Now a tree fell on her home. Bellevue officials said 2 people were injured when a tree fell on the trailer in Maple Valley, southeast, and heavy rain also damaged the power system in Canada's Pacific Coast province of British Columbia and cut power to some 225,000 customers on Tuesday night, according to provincial electricity provider BC Hydro. By Wednesday morning, about 100,000 customers, mostly on Vancouver Island, remain without power. U.S. President Joe Biden Rosario Murillo to that of co-president. The proposal also looks to expand states' control over media outlets in order to prevent them from being subjected to foreign interests. The proposal was sent to the government-controlled National Assembly on Tuesday and is expected to be debated and approved quickly. Speaking at the president's regular morning press conference, her legal advisors said one of the bills would flesh out a 5-member judicial oversight board in addition to unveiling a forfeit money or pay restitution. The sentencing hearing is expected to resume on Thursday. Before sentencing, Huang Celestine asked the defendant's lawyer, Danny James, how she thought Huang compared to Sam Bankman-Fried, who was sentenced in March to 25 years in prison for stealing $8 billion from users of the now bankrupt FTX exchange. Venezuelan migrant was convicted on Wednesday and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for murdering Laken Rayleigh, a Georgia nursing student whose killing became a rallying cry for U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has, as he selects arguments for stricter border policies and aggressive deportations, justice for Laken Rayleigh. The illegal who killed our beloved Laken Riley was just found guilty on all counts for his horrific crimes. Trump wrote on his social media site, Truth Social. Prosecutors said Ibarra encountered Riley, 22 years old, in a woods out running on February 22 and killed her after she resisted his efforts to rape her. She was a nursing student at Augusta University in Athens. In victim impact statements delivered in court ahead of the sentencing, Riley's family and friends described her as a caring, selfless, and devout person who loved running and was committed to serving others. Supporters of then Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, including one holding a signed reading, say her name lacking brightly. For the beautiful and bright future, her mother, Allison Phillips, told the court. She was smart, hardworking, kind, thoughtful, and most importantly, she was a child of God. In her closing statement earlier on Wednesday, Prosecutor Sheila Rose called the evidence against Ibarra overwhelming, including DNA under her fingernails that authorities linked to the defendant's scratches on Ibarra's body and into a dumpster soon after the murder. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching the broadcast of the international news on Atlantic Television Network. Remember, we are open for adverts, placements, news and events coverage, personality, society and political interviews, products, service promotion and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok at Atlantic TV Network 1, Twitter at Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. And now to the rest of our stories. U.S. law enforcement on Wednesday arrested a homeless Florida man and charged him with plotting to bomb the New York Stock Exchange after an undercover employee recorded him saying, "I feel like bin Laden," federal officials allege. The suspect, Harun Abdul Malik Yana, took steps to set off a bomb outside the stock exchange on Wall Street in Lower Manhattan. According to an FBI affidavit, were leveled against Adani, who is one of the world's richest people, as well as 7 other defendants. The charges follow much turmoil for the Adani Group last year after short seller Hindenburg Research issued reports that accuse it of using offshore tax havens improperly, which the company denied. Shares and bonds of Adani firms tumbled on Thursday, and Adani Green Energy, the company at the center of the allegations, also cancelled a $600 million sale of US dollar-denominated bonds. Arrest warrants have been issued in the U.S. for Adani and his nephew, Sagar, and prosecutors plan to hand those warrants to foreign law. Adani Group said in a statement that the allegations were baseless and denied adding that it was to Indian government officials to obtain power supply contracts expected to yield $2 billion of profit over 20 years and develop India's largest solar power plant project. Court in Pakistan granted bail to jail former Prime Minister Imran Khan in a case relating to the illegal sale of state gifts, his party said on Wednesday. Khan, 71 years old, has been in prison since August 2023, but it was not immediately clear if the embattled politician would be released, given that he faces a number of other charges too. Voters will approach the authorities for his release. One of his party's lawyers, Salman Sarfar, told journalists Safdar added that as far as he knew, Khan had been granted bail or acquitted in all the cases he faced. However, Information Minister Ataullah Tehra, a member of the ruling Pakistan Muslim League, Nawaz Party, told Joe TV lacked bail in cases in which he is charged with banning riots by supporters in the wake of his arrest in May last year. Khan denies any wrongdoing and alleges all the cases registered against him since he was removed from power in 2022 are politically motivated to keep him in jail. The case in which he was granted bail on Wednesday by the Islamabad High Court is known as the Toshalkhana or State Treasury case. It has multiple versions and charges all revolving around allegations that Khan and his wife illegally procured and then sold gifts worth over 140 million rupees in state possession, which he received during his 2018-2022 premiership. Khan and his wife Bushra Bibi were both handed a 14-year sentence on those charges, following a 3-year sentence handed to him in late 2023 in another version of the same case. Hong Kong Democrats Jimmy Lai testified on Wednesday for the first time in his landmark national security trial, saying he had never tried to influence the foreign policy of countries such as the United States towards China and Hong Kong. The arrest of Lai, 76 years old, a British Hong Kong citizen and a founder of the now shuttered pro-democracy newspaper Apple Daily, is considered one of the most high-profile under a sweeping China-imposed national security law. His testimony comes just a day after Hong Kong jailed 45 pro-democracy activists for up to 10 years in a separate national security case. Lai has pleaded not guilty to 2 charges of conspiracy to collude with foreign forces and a charge of conspiracy to publish seditious material. During the trial, it was alleged that Lai and others had requested an organization of foreign country, chiefly the United States, to impose sanctions or blockade or engage in other hostile activities on the Hong Kong and Chinese governments. One example of Lai's alleged collusions was meetings in July 2019 with the U.S. Vice President Mike Pence and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to discuss the political crisis in Hong Kong as mass pro-democracy and anti-China protests intensified. For social media platforms for systemic bridges, Australia plans to trial on an age verification system that may include biometrics or government identification to enforce a social media age cutoff, some of the toughest controls imposed by any country to date. The proposals are the highest age limit set by any country and would have no Albanese said, the 4th foreign national now suspected to have died in the incident. Bianca Jones, 19, fell ill last week in Vang Vieng, a town in the Southeast Asian nation, popular with foreign backpackers that is about 2 hours north of the capital, Vientiane, by road. She died on being taken to a hospital in neighboring Thailand on November 13th. Police in the city of Udon, Thani, said. The physician who examined her said the cause of death was a methanol poisoning from fake liquor. Fantanawang Champong, a police of intercontinental ballistic missile, Russia also fired a Kinzhal hypersonic missile and 7 KH-101 cruise missiles, 6 of which were shot down, the Ukrainian Air Force said. In particular, an intercontinental ballistic missile was launched from the Astrakhan region of the Russian Federation, it said, without specifying what kind of ICBM was fired. Former members of boy band One Direction were among the mourners at the funeral of their bandmate Liam Payne on Wednesday and friends for the private church service in Amersham, Buckinghamshire, northwest of London. Payne's former partner, fellow pop star Cheryl, with whom he had a son now aged 7, was photographed leaving the service. The singer and songwriter was found dead after he fell from his hotel balcony in Buenos Aires, triggering an outpouring of grief from fans around the world. His coffin arrived at the church while in a white carriage drawn by 2 white horses and adorned with floral tributes, spelling the words "Son" and "Daddy." Attending impacts of Greece's 2009-2018 debt crisis and a high cost of living. Protesters gathered in a general strike against rising prices. Greece's economy has rebounded since the debt crisis, but salaries lag the European average gross domestic product's GDP. Per capita is among the lowest in the European bailouts, worth 280 billion euros. During the debt crisis, which shaved a quarter of Greece's economic output and nearly pushed the country out of the Eurozone. Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis' center-right government has raised the minimum monthly gross wage 4 times since taking power in 2019 to 27. It has also increased pensions. Israeli military bombed at least 5 crowded homes in northern Gaza early on Thursday, with many casualties buried beneath the rubble. Palestinian health officials said as troops deepened an incursion along the territory's northern edge. Rescue operations were underway in the northern Gaza town of Beit Lahia, medics said. Hamas media puts the number of fatalities at 66, most of whom it said had not been recovered. There was no comments by the Israeli military, which has been operating in Beit Lahia and nearby Jabalia and Beit Hanun since early last month in a campaign it said was aimed at preventing Hamas fighters from regrouping and waging attacks. Hussam Abu Safiya, director of Kamal Abdwan, a hospital in Beit Lahia, one of 3 medical facilities barely operational in the besieged northern, and that many people remained missing. Abu Safiya said medics were recovering injured people and treating them on site because they had no ambulance vehicles to move them to hospitals. Even if the injured make it to hospital, many of them then die because of a lack of medical supplies, Abu Safiya said. U.S. Senate on Wednesday voted overwhelmingly to block 3 resolutions that would have halted the transfer of some U.S. weapons to Israel, introduced by progressives concerned about the human rights catastrophe faced by Palestinians in Gaza. All of the votes in favor came from the Democratic caucus, while no votes came from both Democrats and Republicans, underscoring the divide within President Biden's Democratic Party over policy toward Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government. In a resolution that would have blocked sales of tank rounds to Israel, while 18 approved it, voted present. And 80 voted against a third measure that would have stopped shipments of Joint Direct Attack munitions, JDAMs, kits within 17 in favor and 1 voting present. The kits, which convert a standard unguided bomb using fins and a GPS guidance system into a guided weapon, are made by Boeing. And that's the size of our package on the international news for today. Before we go, let's take a look at the major stories. We told you that Mali Prime Minister fired after criticizing prolonged junta rule. Trump's lawyers insist hush money case be dismissed. Deadly storm hits Washington, cuts power supply. We also told you that man arrested in New York stock exchange bomb plot. Lie denies asking U.S. to act against Hong Kong. We also told you that Israeli strikes kill scores in Gaza. Many thanks for watching. I am Victor Peter. Remember, you can We are open for adverts, placements, news and events coverage, personality, society and political interviews, products, service promotion and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, Twitter, Atlantic TV Network. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Business news comes up next. Do stay with us.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.